Welcome to Superhero Stuff You Should Know. This is Almost Batman, and with me, as usual, is...
Almost Andrew, everyone. Greetings, salutations, and whatnot.
And so I thought we would have a fun episode this week. We'll be exploring more of the DC multiverse in the upcoming Flash movie. So it makes us wonder, what if certain things happened in the past? And so this week, we're covering the actors who almost got the part of Batman / Bruce Wayne throughout the years. Some of them went on to play different characters in the Batman universe or different superhero-related characters. Some were good choices for Batman. A lot of the rest, we'll see. So we'll dive into it on this one. But a majority of these names I'm going to go through with Andrew have been confirmed in interviews that they were in the running or were considered for it. Other names will be ones that were rumors that I want you guys as the audience to help us out with accuracy. But I'll be making sure to specify those as we get there. So, the
Okay.
Almost Batman. And I'm going to start all the way from the beginning. I'm not going to start with 89. I'm going to start in 1943.
Wow.
Because
okay.
I want to be thorough. We're thorough here at Superhero Stuff You Should Know, as opposed to some of these other places that don't even look at the serials. So
Hitler was almost Batman.
Hitler was almost Batman because he didn't get the part.
He got
History
busy.
happened. Yeah, but no. Lewis Wilson was the first to don cape and cowl in the 1943 serial The Batman, but he only played the role in that one. He did not return in the follow-up serial Batman and Robin in 1949, and it's not really known why. I couldn't really find much other than like maybe he just didn't have just many roles at that time, or they just decided to go in a completely different, their own cast for that one, since Batman, Robin, and Alfred are all recast in that one. So that's in contrast to the Superman serials that starred Kirk Alyn as Superman, where Allen got to play the role in both serials, and the same supporting cast got to carry over in the two of those. But that said, artist Andy Fish has reported a rumor that I'd love to hear verify, which is that Kirk Alyn, after playing Superman, was considered to be Batman for the second serial, Batman and Robin.
They look kind of the same in the comics anyway.
Yeah.
They can look pretty similar. And then like B-Taz and S-Taz, they look very, very similar.
They got the same body, really. They got the same body type and type of face. So, and also, if there was a time where people would be like, "Yeah, you played a superhero, just play this other one," it'd be in the 40s right now, as opposed to now where they try to diversify it more with different actors playing different roles. So,
Exactly.
the apparently, according to Andy Fish, the costume in the second serial was meant for Kirk Alyn, but Allen wasn't able to do it, and so he was replaced by Robert Lowry. And sort of that's his explanation for why the Batsuit doesn't fit Robert Lowry that well in Batman and Robin.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not. It could be something that seems like a nice urban legend, but I thought it was worth reporting. And let us know if you find anything out there. So this is starting things off with sort of an unofficial rumor thing that I thought was kind of cool to share. But let's move on to Batman 66 then. So the most known candidate for the role of Batman in Batman 66 was Lyle Waggoner, who we see here in the screen test. Not completely putting on the cowl, as we see here. It's kind of opened beneath his chin. And he's here in the screen test with Peter Dale as Robin in this makeshift Batcave that they used for the screen test that did not carry over into the TV show. It obviously got more expansive, but also brighter in that. It has a different tone. We went over the screen test in our $10 to Patreon tier, and it's kind of weird watching these because they have a very different tone from the 60s show. Things seem to be played a little bit more straight. So with here, Lyle Waggoner actually does look closer to the traditional Bruce Wayne, but like we found out when watching the footage, Adam West just has that iconic voice. He's just got that charisma that you can see why he's the one who won out between the two of them, at least.
If it was just dark like this, it probably wouldn't have had as much of an impact, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, history, pop culture would have gone in a totally different direction, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe the perception of Batman could have been, it wouldn't have been as jarring to go into 89. Or maybe 89 wouldn't have even existed because Michael Uslan wouldn't have made that vow after seeing them make a joke out of it, because it would have been played a little bit more, more serious. So,
wouldn't have had his vendetta.
Indeed. So, who knows? Lyle Waggoner did, however, get to be part of the DC universe. He would go on to play Steve Trevor in the 1970s Wonder Woman show with Linda Carter. But that is not all. He did get some involvement in the Batman universe. So in the 90s, I think, there was a TV movie, and I saw it when I was growing up. It was called Return to the Batcave, The Misadventures of Adam and Bert. And it's like a comedy dramatization of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans of Batman 66, with actors playing Adam West and Burt Ward, intercutting with Adam West and Burt Ward in modern day playing themselves in sort of their own story. It's really fun. It's really cool. But there's a narrator throughout who's trying to serve as the narrator of Batman 66, except William Dozier has been has passed at this point. So at the end, they finally reveal that the narrator of this entire movie is Lyle Wagner himself, getting to finally play some role in Batman 66 after losing out on the part decades earlier.
Wow. Okay.
So, pretty cool. I thought that they gave him that part. It stuck out to me as a kid, probably because it was the first time I heard about like an actor who didn't get to play Batman. And thus kicked off a fascination that leads into this episode. So that was pretty cool that they gave him that part. So let's move on to the development of the '89 Batman film. Adam West did want to reprise the role, but obviously they wanted to go in a different direction under Michael Uslan trying to spend 10 years to get the movie off the ground. At one point, there was a comedic version considered with Bill Murray as Batman and Eddie Murphy as Robin.
This is one of the most famous ones, right?
Yeah. I don't know if a script was ever written for this one. A lot of people
tossing around ideas.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And like Uslan said on our show, he was like, they did not consult me on this one. Like it clearly went against what his plan was, his vendetta was, that like a comedic version of Batman just wasn't going to fly if they talked to him about it. So looks like they tried to do it with him in secret. Some people confuse this and think that the Tom Mankiewicz script, The Batman from 1982 to 1984, was written for this, but that's just not the case. That's a different script, as Uslan confirmed on our show. But this was sort of a comedic version, and apparently, according to, I think it was an interview with Eddie Murphy recently, said that he and Bill Murray just couldn't agree on who would be Batman and who would be Robin. So, the film didn't take off.
Eddie Murphy's not going to play second fiddle, man.
Mm-mm. No, so Ivan Reitman was going to be the director on that. He ended up making Ghostbusters instead with Bill Murray, which I think is a much better choice for both of them than this. So
more iconic. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
For him, anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely quick 80s movie.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Murray, decades later, would join the MCU in like 2 seconds of a role in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as Krylar, which, you know,
he wanted to join, he wanted to have fun with Marvel and then get out, I guess. It was just a kind of a dumb part.
Supposedly, he had a much bigger role. I think that got confirmed by one of the other actors on that. So
it's being rewritten on the day, right? Probably.
Seems like
probably rewriting all the time. How do you even do pre-production when there's no fucking script? I'm really confused about that one.
That's why when James Gunn is just like, we are not doing casting until the script is done, you're just like, this should not be a shocker.
I know. Oh man, at the time of this recording, they're like gonna start up. Oh, there's my alarm. But they're gonna start up shooting Blade at some point soon. But they just got a new writer. This is all public knowledge, by the way. This is no industry insider
True Detective
shit.
writer. But
True Detective. Like, I mean, aren't they shooting soon? Like, what the fuck?
Also,
anyway,
there's a little thing called a strike coming.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows how that's going to turn out? But whatever the case is, we almost got Bill Murray, almost got Batman, and ended up playing Krylar for 2 seconds. Not much of a career in comic book stuff, but at least in the serious adaptations.
He did make Groundhog's Day, so
that too. Yeah,
all is forgiven.
One surprising actor who said he was considered for Batman in '89 was popular Joker fan cast choice Willem Dafoe. So Sam Hamm said he would have loved to have seen Dafoe as Joker, but when Dafoe was asked about it a few years ago, he said he actually had discussions early on to play Batman, which just seems a little weird, considering he's just perfect for Joker. So it seems odd in hindsight, but
his face looks more normal when he was younger. It looks like he's grown into a Joker face.
Yeah, so and he made that joke about it on SNL about everyone saying that he's got the face of a sociopath. So
Yes.
we'll see if he gets to play even more than just the Green Goblin. But he's been Green Goblin. He's been Volko. Go ahead.
I've been a fan of him for sure.
Yeah.
I have nothing against him,
Mhm.
but like I didn't know just how loved he was until I guess when No Way Home was out and everybody was going crazy over that.
Yeah.
Like it's like I don't know. Like I like the guy for sure, but it just I didn't know just how in everyone's hearts he was until recently for some reason.
I didn't recognize your game. Yeah, like it was kind of wild, right? In No Way Home, where like suddenly he's an MCU villain. Like suddenly he's going toe to toe with Tom Holland, and there's something surreal about it, but also awesome at the same time. So I mean,
it was great.
it's possible if he played Batman back then, he wouldn't have been the Green Goblin. But
That's
also
true.
possible that in 2023 it would have been Dafoe returning as Batman in The Flash. So I don't know.
Right.
That's kind of a weird alternate reality. So let's see. Funny enough, Sam Hamm's other choice for Joker was also apparently considered for Batman, and that was the late Ray Liotta. So Ray Liotta said that Tim Burton wanted to meet him for Batman, and he just thought it was a joke. He didn't think that he was down for that because he didn't really understand what the take was. He was thinking Adam West at the time. So
It's the only one he had to go off of, really, other than comics. If
it's understandable, yeah.
if he's not a comics reader, then he's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So, but yeah, he brought up the audition a lot in his later years, or the fact that he was asked to audition or asked to at least meet or something like that for the part. So he was an interesting choice as well for that. But another actor who at least would have pulled off the Playboy Bruce Wayne in his sleep was Pierce Brosnan. So he said he actually did go for the meeting with Tim Burton for the role of Batman, but he said, quote, "I just couldn't take it seriously. Any man who wears his underpants outside his pants just cannot be taken seriously." Of course, now he was Dr. Fate for one movie in Black Adam many decades later. But he just didn't feel like he could take it seriously, though he did say that he grew up as a Batman fan, probably of the 66 show. You know, and he said that he used to wear his raincoat around his neck as a kid and sort of swing through the bicycle shed, pretending he was Batman. So I don't think he hates the character. He just didn't think that a movie like that would work because he didn't really see what the vision was. So
Again, he had no idea what was to come.
yeah,
This is all for 89, right?
it is. Yeah, so far all 89, all the different ones, because this is a big thing. Because now you're stepping in the shoes of Adam West, while also being completely different from Adam West. Beforehand, it's just like, all right, like there's not anybody iconic in this role yet. When it was the 1943 and 49 serials, or when it was Batman 66 before Adam West was given the role. Now it's like we got somebody iconic, but we also want something different from what's iconic.
Right.
So Brosnan was not the only actor from the UK to be considered. The other was actor Bruce Payne. Now, there's an interview that's no longer online, but it seems like it's legit unless somebody made this shit up. But Bruce Payne said that Warner Brothers liked the idea of Bruce Payne as Bruce Wayne in the PR marketing campaign. Was fascinated by the similarity. That's, I guess, the main reason.
It would have set the precedent for Christian Bale if we had a British. Pattinson too. British Batman.
Yeah. So either if Brosnan or Payne got the roles in it. One cool thing about Bruce Payne is, funny enough, pointed out by the user of the Sketch Project on one of our previous episodes. Bruce Payne would go on to play Joker / Jack the Ripper in a fan film set in the Gotham by Gaslight universe called Ripper. So there's that image here of that. So he did get to play some role in the Batman universe unofficially.
That's a pretty well lit shot for. This is a fan film, right?
It's a fan film, yeah.
That's
pretty good.
That noir. What do you call it? Mood lighting kind of shit.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Yeah, and also to get Bruce Payne on there, because it's not like they just got like one of their friends for this. This is a guy who's been in movies and shit. So
true.
It's interesting. I'll have to take a look more into this fan film. But we've got Bruce Payne, and then in a complete contrast from these, British these British actors with a lot of thespian skill. According to Sam Hamm, Steven Seagal was also considered because he was a martial artist.
God.
So that obviously
Doing,
didn't end up happening.
Only wrist locks for 2 hours. Aikido
that's true, too.
moves.
Yeah.
That guy, he's one of the few guys banned from SNL. There's a short list of people banned, and he's one of them. He's not a good person, man.
Yeah. So thankfully he didn't get the part of Batman.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we have Michael Uslan and studios coming up with their own lists. In an interview,
I did see Glimmer Man in the theater though, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see Glimmer Man?
No.
Steven Seagal flick in the 90s. It was okay.
I didn't
first
see
you
it.
see a glimmer, then you'd be dead. That was the fucking
okay.
That was the stupid ass lines in the movie. The 90s were a great time.
Yes. Not always the greatest movies, but at least a great time.
No.
Okay, so back to this. In an interview with Superhero Hype and his book, The Boy Who Loved Batman, Michael Uslan brought up that major stars the studio considered for the role of Batman were, future Jonathan Kent, Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid, Harrison Ford, who I guess is going to be Thunderbolt Ross. He also acknowledged an interviewer's mention of Mel Gibson and Tom Selleck in an interview with Back Issue number 113. Also, a Cinefantastique article by Alan Jones cited an LA Times article that also mentioned Mel Gibson, then Bill Murray, then Charlie Sheen, who was only like 24 at the time. Supposedly, Harlan Ellison even mentioned Sheen as being up for it, but I can't find a specific article where Ellison said it. Just other people saying Ellison said it, so I don't know how much to take legitimately. But I think this is not the actual actors who Burton was thinking of. I think this is literally WB being like, here are possible actors who are hot right now who could take on this role. Like, I don't think any of these guys actually had discussions.
Right.
Is the impression I get. They just seem to be on a whole bunch of lists, as Uslan points out here, calling them the stars of the day. So I know a lot of people have brought up, sometimes in the comments or other things, that like, well, Gibson almost got the part if it weren't for Lethal Weapon 2. But again, I haven't found anything from either Tim Burton saying that or even Mel Gibson saying that. He was even up for it. So unless somebody else finds something that confirms that, I think he was just, again, somebody who the studio was just like, he's a hot actor too. He could do it. Like, that's about it.
Right.
Bruce's age in the script was also 32 to 35, so the ones who were at least age appropriate for that were Costner, who was 34, Quaid, who was 35, Gibson, who was 33, and Pierce Brosnan, who was 36. Other than that, Charlie Sheen was too young, and Ford was already 47. The other guys were much older than what was in the script.
Harrison Ford was 47 in 89.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Let me take a look.
My God.
But I think I'm right on that because I did the math a while ago on that. I'm pulling from an old Instagram post on that. But let's take a look here. Born in 1940. Wait a minute. No, he wasn't 47. What am I talking about?
We're fact checking live here.
Oh, he would have been 47 in 89, but 88 is when they were casting, so he would have been 46. Okay, so I was
God,
close.
he was that old then, though?
I guess so, yeah.
Holy
So,
crap.
lastly, I know some people keep bringing up Alec Baldwin for Batman 89, but again, I haven't really found any evidence he was ever up for Batman.
Is there no evidence for that? Because
I can't find anything.
That's like, everybody talks about that.
I mean, he worked with Burton in Beetlejuice. He did play
Yeah.
the Shadow in 1994, and Tarantino at one point said that, like, he would have been a good Batman, but I can't find anything that actually says that he was considered for it. He's not in these articles. Uslan never cited him. Burton never cited him. Baldwin's never said anything about it. We know he was up for Thomas Wayne in Joker in 2019, but outside of that, I can't find anything official about it outside of just IMDb listing him with all sorts of other actors who anybody could just make up bullshit on.
That is surprising.
So, yeah, I can't find anything that says that Alec was ever up for it. But let us know if you find anything different out there. But other than that, I think it's just because he worked with Burton before and he played the Shadow in a way that felt Batman-like in the 1994 movie that it seemed like he would be a good pick. But can't find anything about him actually being up for it.
Okay.
So with that, we got Keaton though in '89 and returns, and then Batman Forever. Basically, Keaton meets with Joel Schumacher, doesn't want to do it for conflicting reports. According to the Bachelors who talked to us, it was a case where it was going to be too expensive to have both Keaton and Robin Williams. According to Keaton, it's because he didn't like the script or the direction Schumacher was going. It's kind of easy to do revisionist history on some of the stuff, though, so I don't know. It could go either way, or a combination of both. But at a certain point, Keaton is out, and they got to find someone else. So around 1994, there's an LA Times article that says that Kurt Russell is being considered during this time. Now, this is interesting to me because when I first got into looking at like Batman film news, it was for, Batman 5. It was going to be the sequel to Batman and Robin. It was going to be so much darker, and it seemed like the rumor was that Kurt Russell was going to replace George Clooney as like a darker Batman in Batman 5. But obviously, that didn't happen. Kurt Russell, of course, would go on to play Ego, the living planet, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And he did work with James Gunn on that, so maybe we'll see him in the DCU. He'd be a good Commissioner Gordon, but I don't know.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that. Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
He would turn out to be playing a planet.
Yeah.
What a role.
Who knew in 1994? But yeah, the same LA Times article as well brings up a different Baldwin brother from Alec Baldwin, and that's Billy Baldwin. So Billy Baldwin was listed here, and he would also confirm this when he ended up actually voicing Batman in Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. I think this is the first guy on this list so far who actually ended up playing Batman in some form after being up for it. So he described that he was one of Joel Schumacher's top choices, out of four. Obviously, Val Kilmer was one of them, but the other two are very interesting. Schumacher apparently was also thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay.
That was not going to happen. And Ray Fiennes, which also probably wasn't going to happen. But
this is the dorkiest picture of Ray Fiennes
thanks, Dan,
I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
Yeah, it doesn't really convey what he could do.
No, I mean, whatever. He's Voldemort, right?
Yeah.
So he turned out okay. He got
he's Alfred in the Lego Batman movie, which is a better fit.
Yeah,
he's a better
true.
fit for Alfred. So,
he looks like he's just leaving Sunday school, right?
He's a youth pastor.
He looks like he's one of Flanders' kids.
Yeah, so he didn't get the part of that. I don't even know if Schumacher even reached out to them on this, because again, like we're dealing with, you got Daniel Day-Lewis and Ray Fiennes. We're talking about some serious British actors here.
Daniel Day-Lewis so intense. I can kind of see it, but that would be just like,
not for Batman Forever though.
Yeah, if he was already heading that direction, but if it was like the darker one, like Batman 5, and it wasn't Kurt Russell or something,
yeah,
I could kind of see that. Although Daniel Day-Lewis, although he is intense, isn't he kind of small? He's kind of a smaller frame. Well, then again, he did beat Paul Dano's ass.
Yeah, that's true. He did beat Paul Dano's ass more than Pattinson ended up doing in the movie.
That's true.
So
maybe he's not that.
He is 6'2", but yeah, he's got more of that slender. Yeah, he's got more of that slender frame. He doesn't have the.
God, I thought he had like a Tom Cruise thing going on for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. I was wrong about that. I'm sorry, internet.
I thought you were just referring to him being slender.
I thought he was short. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, no, he's 6'2".
I had the wrong notion about Mr. Lewis.
Well, I think one of the shorter actors who was up for it though was Ethan Hawke. According to Ethan Hawke, he was up for it between Keaton leaving and, I guess, quote unquote, when the Batman movies got bad. So I'm going to assume it's for this one that he was up for it. And Hawke would also go on to end up playing Batman in Batwheels, currently on HBO Max.
Oh, is that on right now?
It's been on for a while, yeah.
Oh, it has been?
He's pretty good. He's pretty good as the voice of it. I haven't watched every episode, but he's decent as a voice of it. It doesn't really fit this Batman, though.
I would watch one episode of that.
It's fun.
Why not? Whatever, dude. It's cool.
It's one of those things where, like, maybe if the Batman looked a little closer to, like, a Neil Adams slimmer Batman, the voice would fit that one more. You just kind of expect more of a like deep voice Kevin Conroy, Diedrich Bader type of Batman with this the Batman we see here.
It's kind of frame, kind of husky frame.
Yeah, and instead you got kind of his like light whisper type of Ethan Hawke kind of doing a light whisper sort of thing, which again still fits the character. It just kind of feels like that would fit. Like to me, that would fit a little bit more of a slimmer Batman type of look, but maybe that's just me.
I didn't even know this was out.
So,
all right.
Lastly, there is an article from comicbookmovie.com saying that Johnny Depp told them in an interview that he was up for Batman around this time, but seems like it could be easily made up. Depp has never seemed to talk about it to any interview. There was no video footage of this happening. He just randomly tells this fan site, Comic Book Movie, that he was up for it and doesn't tell anybody else about it. Inclined to believe that's bullshit. So, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe there's another article that cites him. But from what I've seen, it's the only one that says that he was up for it. And again, I think it's just people projecting their own choices onto it, like the Alec Baldwin thing, or saying like, hey, he worked with Burton, so he could have been up for it, like that type of thing. But who knows? Again, if any of you guys think a name is missing, attach an article for an interview with that actor or from someone from that movie saying that actor was considered, because again, it's too easy to make shit up. I've tried to make sure that this is a curated list of ones where the guys actually said, hey, I was up for it, or someone else, or they're citing that someone else was up for it. Like Daniel Day-Lewis didn't say he was up for it, but Billy Baldwin said that he was on Schumacher's list, so that counts, that type of stuff.
That would have changed his life.
Oh, yeah. Also would have changed the franchise.
That is true.
And then, basically, Kilmer and Schumacher don't get along on Batman Forever. Also, Kilmer decides to do The Saint, and Schumacher decides he's just going to hunt for another Batman again. After doing Batman Forever, he probably knew he wasn't going to get Daniel Day-Lewis or Ray Fiennes for this, but he reaches out again to Billy Baldwin. Apparently, he told Baldwin, the studio went with Val, but this time I'd like to go with you. And on a Friday afternoon, Baldwin thought he was playing Batman, and then Monday morning, the headlines say it's George Clooney.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, again...
The studio decided, they went over his head.
Yeah, which, again, if you're a studio, kind of makes sense. You're going to pick the guy who's like the bigger star, and Clooney's the bigger star at this point, even with just ER. From Dusk Till Dawn. So
my parents watched ER, man. I remember that shit.
I think Baldwin still dodged a bullet, though.
Yeah. I mean, did he go on to play anything else? Like,
to me, he played Batman in Crisis on Two Earths. That's all that matters. But yeah, he didn't really get much else, at least not famously.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have helped him, but I don't know. I don't think so. For Batman and Robin, a lot of people report that David Duchovny was up for it, but I looked this up. So a lot of people report this, but I found the actual interview where he said something, and I'm actually going to have you read the direct quote on here so we can
from Duchovny.
we can debunk this from Fox Mulder himself.
Oh man!
So this is what he actually said in an interview with Movie Line in 1997.
I mean, they didn't offer me Batman, although I had a great joke already for that. I say, they offered me Batman, but because my nose was so big, they were going to change it to Batmanishevitz. I'm not sure if anyone would have thought it was funny, though.
So that's a direct quote from Duchovny. Yeah, so I'm like, that doesn't mean at all that he was up for it. If anything, he says he wasn't up for the part. Why does everybody keep saying that he was up for it then?
Well, it's like Uslan said when he was on our show. He said that, like, they'll toss every name around.
Yeah.
And you could say they're technically considered for, like, a fucking 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. So, yeah,
I
think there's a distinction between like people who actually screen tested or met with the director. Like Pierce Brosnan said he flat out met with Tim Burton. Ray Liotta said that he was contacted to meet with Tim Burton. So like these are guys who like were considered enough for like a meeting or some sort of audition and stuff. And same thing with Billy Baldwin, it looks like. But like for somebody like Duchovny or some of the other people we're going to cover later, it seems like, well, it's kind of like the whole Tom Selleck, Harrison Ford, Kevin Costner thing, where it's just like you're probably on a list that just went around internally, but nobody talked to your agent because it didn't get that far enough.
Right.
Technically, you're still considered, but you were considered for 5 seconds. It's just brainstorming. So there's a distinction there that a lot of people overlook. But yeah, it's not like everybody was in this big room where you got Quaid and Costner and Ford and Charlie Sheen all in a room trying to fight on who's going to be Batman. Like, it's just not really what happened. So, but yeah, it's a possibility he was considered for like 2 seconds before they went with Clooney. But they didn't offer it to him.
It sucks he didn't know until he saw it in the news. That's the way it
Cole Baldwin?
seems like
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
That's showbiz.
Showbiz, baby. That must have been a very nice weekend, and then
Yeah.
a shitty ass Monday.
Yeah. But again, I think he dodged a bullet, and it turned out okay, I think, because I think he does a decent job in Crisis on Two Earths. There are times where he kind of sounds like he's his brother in that movie, but other times where he doesn't, but because they just have similar voices. But yeah, I think it worked out. But yeah, so far we've covered the 90s movies. Anybody who jumps out at you in terms of like somebody who could have been interesting? I know you mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Maybe I can cycle through.
Kurt Russell would have been good, probably.
Yeah, evoking some of that Snake Plissken into it.
Yeah, everybody knows him. He got like the jaw too, right? Like,
Mhm.
I feel like that sort of made sense, and he could probably get pretty buff for the role.
Yeah,
So-
he's got the range to like he can be all like Snake as the tough dude, and then he can channel some of like his comedic stuff as Bruce Wayne if need be, if they were going for like the goofy playboy,
right.
So I think that could have worked out as well, for sure.
Who'd you want?
Out of
Most?
these, I think Russell.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go backwards for this.
Going back.
Let's see. I think Hawk would have been too young for Batman Forever. Fines, I don't really see. Daniel Day-Lewis is like a long shot, unless you were already doing like the Matt Reeves type of Batman in like '95.
You say it's a long shot because he wouldn't take.
I don't.
He probably
Yeah, I don't
wouldn't take
think he
the
would
role
take
himself,
it. Yeah, but if
offered.
if there was a world where he would take it, I could see it in like a Robert Pattinson type of project.
It's an excellent scarf, though.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Obviously not Seagal.
That's the worst one
Bruce
imaginable.
Wayne. Brosnan, I think, can do Bruce Wayne in his sleep. Batman, I don't know. I don't really see it as much.
Yeah. Oh, Ray Liotta, man, talk about brooding.
Yeah. That could have been
he
interesting.
would have been really good as well. I mean, I can see why he was considered for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's that intensity.
Yeah, he could definitely brood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
about
look,
him.
Dafoe would have been interesting, but I think the Joker clearly is the choice for that one. No on Bill Murray.
Fucking Bill Murray. No.
And then, Lyle Wagner. Okay, we're just going way too far back at that point. But yeah, I'd say Russell. I agree with you on Russell, and then Daniel Day-Lewis and some sort of like alternate thing. And then Eastwood I have up here because of the fact that at one point, writers Paul Dini and Alan Burnett worked with writer Boaz Yakin to do a potential live-action version of Batman Beyond. The obvious guy at the top of the list to play an old, grizzled Bruce Wayne at that point was Eastwood. Michael Uslan was involved and described that project as his white whale. Dini apparently confirmed on Kevin Smith's podcast that they were obviously going to try to court Eastwood for the role. A natural choice for that at the time, because at a certain point he was just way too old to fulfill the fan casting of the Dark Knight Returns Batman for his age even. But I don't know. I think with Batman Beyond, it's still kind of jarring to cast somebody who hasn't played the role yet to play an old Batman. It feels like, I mean, Eastwood might be the only one I would make the exception for on that.
So you're saying if they do Batman Beyond for the DCU, whoever they get to play in the Brave and the Bold for that DCU Batman, let's say they do Batman Beyond like 5 years after that movie,
Mm-hmm.
you want that Batman in old age makeup.
Not necessarily that specific thing, just more of like someone who's already played the role playing Bruce Wayne. So Keaton, obviously, I would support in the Batman Beyond thing. Or if we get even older, old version of Bale, old version of Affleck, old version of Pattinson, if we're going to go really, at that point, I'll be the same fucking age if they do Batman Beyond for it. But someone who's played the role before to add that, because otherwise it just seems a little off-putting to be like, okay, now this guy playing old Batman. We're just like, it's like there's a weight of history that the actor brings to it whenever you do this type of thing, which is also why I think it was a smart choice to bring Keaton into the Flash, where we have that history that's added into it. It's why so many people want to see this, is that nostalgia that we have for the history. But it would have been weird, if it was just someone random.
I think it's a white whale for DC Warner Brothers to do a Batman Beyond movie. It's really like it kind of needs to happen, and something like a futuristic Muschietti Flash movie, but set in the future, like kind of Blade Runner but Muschietti style. That would be, I don't know. I don't know why they haven't even announced this yet, but I guess they have to get a regular Batman first. But I think
it could be an Elseworlds.
I'd like to see this movie made at some point. And Dodson was writing it until she was told to stop because she had to. I think she was probably put on Supergirl or something. I don't know for sure.
Maybe,
but
yeah, Christina Hodson. For those who don't know, Christina Hodson wrote The Flash, as well as Birds of Prey, also the canceled Batgirl movie. But apparently, she's still in play for the writers' room of the DC universe, which
she's in the bullpen.
Has made me wonder. I'm like, well, do we know if it's canceled for sure, or are they just waiting to see how the Flash does? And there's a potential Elseworlds with Keaton's Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond type of movie, because I personally think there's a little bit of a shelf life when it comes to doing a Batman Beyond adaptation, because the people who grew up with it, are at the age now to see it and bring their kids to it.
That's true. It's like a very distinct window right now. You're right about that.
Keaton already at the right age to do it within the next 10 years or so. So like, you can't really do that. Like the next opportunity, right? If we're going to go down the list. Kilmer is just not going to be well enough to do it. Both Kilmer and Clooney, unfortunately, they just don't have the same like love for them in the role as Keaton does. So Kilmer's just not well enough to do it. Clooney's, there's no way he's wants to come back. At least, I mean, we'll see. But then Bale, by the time Bale is old enough to do it, unless they put him in old age makeup, like again, we're getting to the point where people who have this cartoon was around early 2000s, but it hasn't really had that much more of a life outside of that being in that window of time. So like the more removed you get from it, it's just kind of more of just like a nice offshoot from the Batman universe that happened at one point, as opposed to that nostalgia of something you grew up with. So I think the longer you wait, the more like the less potential there is in terms of drawing people in. That's my personal opinion on that.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks that I only had that like the one show really, but I really think that's my prediction as of this recording. Mm-hmm. They're probably I think Gunn will announce that at some point. I think we're going to get a Batman Beyond movie at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'd be the smart choice after The Flash. If Keaton is as good in this as they say he is, then they're going to want more. They're going to want more of him, and they can just have the Elseworlds label, and they know that the Batman Beyond thing was a thing. It's just it's a possibility. They just put that on hold because of the fact that they've got this whole new direction going on. They wanted to see how things go.
So. Booster Gold is really way far in the future, farther than Batman Beyond, probably, right?
I think so, yeah.
So they couldn't,
he is.
They couldn't
25th century or something.
Oh yeah, so they couldn't usher in Booster Gold.
Well, he is time traveling, so he could.
He could just pop up in that, and then I don't know. Yeah, it's just there's something you could do there, maybe, but maybe he's too comedic for Batman Beyond. But it's just like a sci-fi Batman movie, man. It's just kind of like it's just such a good idea. Like, let's do it.
Yeah. So we'll see, but it was a possibility at one point. It did look like Eastwood was at the top of the list, who seems like a natural choice for something like that, but. When we return to from the break, we will go over all the other times that other actors were up for the part.
It's time for May announcements, everyone!
Indeed. And we have some news. We're gonna be in a movie. Yes, a movie. Short film, actually.
Hollywood,
done by our Patreon
baby!
Yeah, we are going Hollywood. So, yes. We're in a movie. It's a short film done by our Patreon patron and longtime supporter, Jeffrey Scott Richards. Jeffrey put us in his documentary called All Right Forever, where we talked about our COVID experiences. You can check that out when you can. But now he's doing something different. Now he's doing a scripted short film, and we're in it. And it's called Derek Magnum. So, the log line is, I'm reading off from his Indiegogo, Derek Magnum is one of the leading directors and creative forces in the superhero genre today. When his wife posthumously publishes a tell-all book about his years of misconduct towards her, he loses everything. Now, years later, he tries to find redemption in the eyes of his 21-year-old son. So, in this short film, Andrew and I will play ourselves, hosting superhero stuff you should know and discussing Derek Magnum. We're excited, but Jeffrey could use your help on the production with festival and marketing costs, feeding the main actors, not us, we're good, but the main actors involved, like the guy who's actually playing Derek Magnum, and paying the composer for us. So head on over to indiegogo.com/project/Derek, that's DERRICK, -magnum-a-short-film-by-Richard Scott J, hashtag.
So
that's a long one.
The link is
click the link in the damn description.
The link is on the description, and then it's also, we got a visual of it here on the visual for the podcast on the YouTube. So check it out there. Yeah, so I obviously have experience with Indiegogo. I'm in a recon and et cetera, and support the arts, y'all. This is how you do it. Support a fellow fan of all the stuff that we're a fan of, and let's get this film off the ground. We needs to pay his crew and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, it goes to the crew. It goes to helping out festival costs and stuff. Like we are just in it. Like, this money does not go to us. This is to help Jeffrey. So anything that you can, over to the Indiegogo link that I will not repeat. Just click the damn link in the description, and it'll take you there. So, thank you, everyone. In terms of other projects, just wanted to say thanks again to everyone who supported my first published fiction, Shortcut to Happily Ever After, which was a short story novella published in Metaphorosis magazine in April. It's available to read on the Metaphorosis website, as well as on Kindle and paperback if you choose to get your own copies and support the magazine. A podcast audio version is available, read by podcast host Matt Gomez, which you can check out on YouTube. And thanks again to those who have heard it on YouTube, because thanks to you and the supporters who've commented, that's Leander Nicholson and Jacob Patrick. Those of you who have heard it, thanks to you, it is the #1 video on the Metaphorosis podcast channel on YouTube.
#1, so, y'all.
Thanks again for that. So,
woo!
And basically, that is it for my own stuff, but we have a May charity drive. Again, we do like to keep these charities related to the people we've covered on the show, and this one is no exception. Peter David is a writer we've brought up on this podcast a few times. We covered his novelization for Batman Forever. We'll likely cover his others at a certain point. And yes, we got to acknowledge, we have joked. He's friend of the podcast, Peter David, since he was not so friendly to Andrew over Twitter years ago. But again, we are a superhero podcast, and superheroes believe in compassion. We wouldn't be following in the footsteps of superheroes if we let that get in the way of asking you to help him out. Peter David has been undergoing kidney failure, as well as a series of strokes and a heart attack, according to this post on the GoFundMe. Yeah, it sounds pretty rough, and so they're asking his fans for support. So please give that over to GoFundMe.com/F/Peter-David-Fund and help someone out who was part of your childhood. He was definitely a big part of mine and part of a part of the show in some way, with the novelizations that he's written that we're bound to cover even more of at some point on this. So that is the May charity drive that we're doing for this one.
Yeah,
and,
you
go ahead.
said those comments before back in the day. It was just it's funny we're even going over this, but it was just for fun. It was probably even was just a little Twitter thing, and it was like he might have even just had a bad day that day or something. It wasn't that big of a deal. I just wanted to make some jokes about it for the sake of the podcast.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to make it sound like it was a big deal before we hate him or anything. Like, we were just joking,
we obviously don't. We obviously don't. I'm just trying to, just clear the air on that. We're trying to help him out. So there you go. Give him the old superhero stuff you should know bump.
Yep.
So whatever that is, but yeah, check it out. His GoFundMe will be linked in the description, and if you could throw him some shekels, that would be great. He had major runs. He had really good like the novelizations, right? He did
Novelizations. The Aquaman one, obviously, that you had talked to him about.
Yeah,
and
it was like Game of Thrones type of story. It was like it was about Atlantis, and it was a pre-Aquaman thing. It was like to set up the Aquaman lore a little bit, and it was like Game of Thrones in Atlantis, and it was a pretty cool run. And he also co-created Spider-Man 2099. And so how much money has Marvel made off of that? It's showing up in that. So it's just like, a lot of big hitters there. Not that he needs that for money for a GoFundMe, but just to show you he's been a part of people's lives, So if you guys could, you could probably, the lowest amount is probably $1, right? If you could just even give $1, that'd be great. And I
if
guess
all of our YouTube subscribers donated $1, that'd be $3,000 for them.
$3,000,
Over
yeah.
3,000, yeah.
Over 3,000. So please do what you can, guys. Yeah.
All right, and that is it for the May announcements. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Just wanted to announce that I have a new podcast called Gaming Gaiden. It's about Japanese to English translation. In this first season, it will be 10 episodes each season. If you saw the ranking, every Superman video game two-parter we did here on Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you have seen Mike before. So yes, if you like video games, if you've been interested in Japanese ever, we're going to be talking a lot about just Japan in general, Japanese cultural differences as well, and we also are going to have a lot of talk about 90s video game magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly, aka EGM. So stay tuned for Gaming Gaiden podcast. It's already out now, y'all. I wanted to tell you about the Patreon.com. Patreon.com/superherostuffpod, and on that you get the $1 tier. You can join the $1 tier, which gets you the shout out on the board, and either visually or orally, or both at times. We want to do the oral for the most part for newer people. And then the $5 tier gets you a whole new show. This show is every Monday, as you well know, and it's free on YouTube and the What's Nots. And the Patreon show is every Friday at the $5 tier mark. You can, if you want, binge us for $5, and there's like 150 episodes, almost 150 at this point, and you can listen to all that content there. Even the stuff that's been released from the vault, none of that has been the full episode as well. So trying to keep our $5 tier people happy. But yeah, check that out. And then our $10 tier gets you all of the above, plus it gets you a monthly meetup show where you meet up with us monthly, and it's like a Zoom-like call, and we have a topic at hand, or sometimes videos we react to and things like that. And that's at the $10 tier. Every tier that you get, like the $5 tier gets you the $1 tier benefits, and the $10 tier gets you the $5 tier benefits and the $1 tier benefits. So check that out at patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We also got the merch, which is Redbubble, superhousepod.redbubble.com, and on Threadless, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Get your Bin Man and Indeed Wizard mug, shirt, shower curtains, and all the rest artwork by Stephen Santa Cruz. And please send us some audio at superhousepodcast@gmail.com. A bumper would be great. You too can be part of the show. I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram and Twitter. Thunderwolf lives as my other YouTube channel, one of my many YouTube channels. And I have also thunderwolfdrew.com has my whole portfolio in one place, except for amanorecon.com. That's AMANORECON.com. And that is an original idea that some friends and I are doing, where it is R-rated Power Rangers meets Stranger Things. That's the quick pitch, and It is not a fan film, original idea. We have a pitch video right now on YouTube and on the Indiegogo page. We're campaigning right now as of this, when this episode premieres. And this poster art is by ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. And check it out. Please support us on the campaign. And more from that soon. But yes, it's bloody, and if you like that kind of thing, check us out. And that's it, Ben.
Follow us on social media, on Twitter at SuperhousePod, Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod, where we have some different supplemental stuff. I've even analyzed the martial arts stance that the Keaton ornament from The Flash is in, so you can check that out on our Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod. TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod, Vero, Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benwanwriter.com, where you can read a whole bunch of spec scripts, including Gotham, Vampire, Elementary, The Death of Sherlock Holmes, and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Disneyland. If you're fans of any of those shows, check them out and let us know what you think. My YouTube channel is in the description below, including Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, an audio drama I write, edit, and narrate with the 8th Doctor, meeting Miyamoto Musashi. My personal Instagram is benwanwriter. If you like cats, my son, Alfie, my cat, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you have an Alfie yourself, then you can get the Whisker Box, the only cat box with a crazy cat lady and gent. And you can even check out another page on that website, superherostuffpod.com/show notes. That includes various show notes for each of our episodes, links to the scripts that we review if they're available online, Amazon links to the stuff we've been talking about, including, Brian Levant's book that he plugged for us, My Life and Toys. So check that out at superherostuffpod.com/show notes.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you.
Well, butter my biscuits, 'cause I don't give a fuck.
Welcome back from the break. And so we're going to cover the great hiatus in Batman films. This is 1998 to 2004. There's a whole bunch of projects. There's a whole bunch of possibilities of how they're going to reinvigorate the franchise after Batman and Robin. There's internet rumors abound about Clooney's coming back or Kurt Russell's going to replace him. Neither happened. Obviously, there was this possible Batman Beyond movie we talked about before the break. What were some of the other options? Well, one of them was something we covered before, which was a prequel show on the WB about young Bruce Wayne. And we covered that a while back. It felt very tame compared to some of the other options that we explored.
That was the banana one?
Yeah, the banana peel one.
Oh my god, that shit wasn't that good.
According to the site, Krypton site, who was pretty reliable on scoops on Smallville, so I'm inclined to believe them on this. The project did not go far enough for serious casting, but they said, quote, an actor named Trevor Furman from Now You Know and Clerks 2 on the left was considered for Bruce, along with Shawn Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men films. So
okay, I was like, I know this guy. Okay.
Yeah. So according to them, they were considered, but again, we don't know the level of consideration. It could not have even gone to them being, given any offers from their agents and stuff. It could have just been their names on a board, and that's it, because this didn't even get to production.
Let me do another one of my classic tangents real quick, but I remember in the theater when Iceman, when he fucking freezes just like a cup of water or something, he freezes a beer, an audible gasp in the fucking theater. Everyone, I guess it was the first X-Men movie. Yeah, I remember that. We were the whole audience was so into that, and we're just so used to that now.
That's true. Yeah,
we are so spoiled, and we forget where we came from. I think, especially if you weren't even born at that time. But I remember it was just an audible gasp in the theater, and all he did was freeze a goddamn beer. I think it was a beer that Wolverine was drinking.
I remember the first time he does it is when he's messing around with Pyro. Pyro's creating the fireball behind him, during the class, and then I think he freezes that one. from
Something
that. But I
like
think
that.
he does freeze the beer in the second one too. So
I remember it was just a very it was kind of a, like, looking back on it now, it was a very minor thing in the movie, a very minor effect, but it had such a big reaction. I mean, I saw it opening weekend and shit, so that was part of it. But still, though, you know, we've just come a long way in genre film.
yeah. So like that doesn't impress us anymore. We need more.
Yeah, we
more
need
stuff.
Thanos and fucking multiverses and shit.
Pretty much. Yeah. So this was the Bruce Wayne show, but this was coming into conflict with the Darren Aronofsky Batman Year One film, which is R-rated and definitely different from the very PG Bruce Wayne show that they wrote for the WB. And Aronofsky said that he did plan to do it with future Joker Joaquin Phoenix in the role of Batman. And apparently he had to fight with the studio because Warner Brothers didn't want Joaquin in it. They wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. from I Know What You Did Last Summer and the Scooby-Doo films that James Gunn wrote. So,
dude, man, every girl so I graduated high school in 2002, and I just remember every girl imaginable loved that guy. It was him and Josh Hartnett. They were like the two main squeezes for like every girl at the time. And Heath Ledger, sadly, R.I.P., but you know, it was like you just couldn't. Everybody was talking about these two guys. I remember that.
Yeah. So that's probably why Warner Brothers wanted him. But then you look at the script for Aronofsky's Year One, and you're just like, yeah, unless he's wants to go all rugged and shit, that they're not going to get the pretty boy like Bruce Wayne.
I mean, maybe his audition's incredible. I don't know, but yeah, he didn't have anything in his previous work.
He got to that part, but like again, this is a Bruce Wayne who like his teeth get knocked out from all these fights, and he creates like these fake dentures for himself in it. Like this is not Pretty Boy Bruce at all in there. But I don't think Warner Brothers really was paying attention to that aspect on this. But yeah, it was Joaquin was the choice for Aronofsky, and this sort of starts off a trend that we're going to see in the next few choices of potential Batmen who would end up playing Batman villains instead. So, starting with Joaquin, and then, of course, after that was Batman versus Superman, where they considered future Penguin Colin Farrell for Batman. Look at the contrast here between
incredible
that makeup. Yeah.
But I could see him, especially maybe when he's a little bit younger. Well, even now too, if he wasn't Penguin. But he's got the look. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. He was cast as a veteran Batman, weirdly enough, in Batman versus Superman, even though he was pretty young at the time. But yeah, I agree with you. If this was like a Batman Year One thing or an Aronofsky thing, I could have seen, like, I think Farrell could have pulled that one off at that time. But it's a little weird when he's just like, I've been Batman and I've already had like, Nightwing and Batgirl. And I'm just like, he was like, I don't know. I think he was in his 20s at the time. It didn't seem like it would fit. But of course, we didn't get Batman versus Superman at this time either. Chris Nolan's Batman won out. And most famously, a few actors he considered for Batman ended up getting other roles, such as Cillian Murphy, who, of course, ended up playing Scarecrow, along with a whole bunch of other Nolan films, and is now finally getting the starring role in Oppenheimer after years of playing supporting roles in these Nolan films.
He's gonna
even cameoing.
He's gonna duke it out with Barbie at the box office. Mm-hmm. I am so obsessed with that. Like, as far as like just Oppenheimer, the fucking A-bomb guy versus Barbie. At the box office.
Who's going to win the box office?
They have this. If anybody doesn't know about this, they have the same exact release date, the same weekend. One of the memes that was shared to me was like, this is like getting choosing between the girl toy and the boy toy at McDonald's. It's just kind of wild, and that's stereotypical gender role stuff. But I think I can safely say Barbie's mainly geared towards girls. So,
right.
But anyway, I'm obsessed with that. And I can't wait to see Oppenheimer, and I will see Barbie that weekend as well. I'm going to see both of them.
Yeah, why not see both?
Yeah, why not see? I kind of want to see Oppenheimer first, and then see Barbie after to have like the palate cleanser, because you got like the fucking A-bomb shit.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be real heavy.
So I can't blame you. I might do the same thing. We'll see.
Yeah, a little palate cleanse. But yeah, I have actually heard about Cillian Murphy auditioning for Batman Begins Batman, and then he gets the other role, which is cool. I could see him. He probably could have done it, but I don't know, man. He just seems just ultimately a better fit for this, I guess.
Crane. Yeah, I mean, we went over the screen test in the $10 tier Patreon for those who haven't seen that, but he's Batman actually is not bad. You know, when he was in the cowl and stuff, he had a good voice. It's just when he's Bruce Wayne, he looks like he's about to kill you. Stuff, he just has that intensity, and you're just like, okay, I can see why you got the villain role instead.
Definitely.
So,
fucking Tom Hiddleston auditioned for Thor.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just like, I think it's one of those where they're like, we like you, we want to see what you could do, but maybe you're not really auditioning for the part you're trying to audition for. Like, I think it's more of like Nolan likes Cillian Murphy, knows he's probably not going to get Batman, but just wants to see how he does to work with him. And similar thing with Brana and Hiddleston for for Thor. I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Nolan likes him. Kept working with him. It just wasn't the right fit, and you just got to have patience as an actor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He probably
really,
got
like this...
pretty decent paycheck anyway as Scarecrow, man. I mean, probably even residuals off whatever toys they made.
This and 28 Days Later really got his career going.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of taken a step back for a while, but he's going to be back in a big way, duking it out with Barbie this summer. So,
oh yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Peaky Blinders, but I heard he's really good in that.
Oh my God, I heard that is huge. Actually, I haven't watched that yet, but I do know that is well loved, and I'm a big dum for forgetting that existed. I do kind of want to see that, but
it's which is. It's weird because that type of stuff is my shit, but again, there's just so much stuff to watch that like it's been on the back burner, and now I think it's like close to ending. So
I think it's pretty close
at some point. Yeah,
we can binge the whole thing now. I mean,
yeah, there's Tom Hardy in it too, so it's both Scarecrow and Bane.
I'm sure it's awesome. I just I'm drowning in content constantly.
Yeah, exactly. We all are. So
yeah,
that's why I haven't gotten to it. But so Cillian Murphy, and then another one Nolan met, of course, was Heath Ledger. For the part of Batman, and Ledger apparently quite graciously told him, quote, "I would never take part in a superhero film." So, obviously, after Begins, Ledger changed his mind and ended up accepting the role of the Joker before seeing the script.
Oh, wow.
So that's
okay.
Cool. Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to be in the Nolan Batman movie.
Yeah, so Begins convinced him on that, and thank God it did, considering, so... it's kind of the quadruple group of actors who started out as Batman potentials and ended up becoming Batman villains. And maybe that'll continue with some of these others. We'll see. So,
man, he was another one that Ledger, man, every girl in the fucking universe was crazy over this guy. Yeah. Every movie that was coming out, man. Legends of Dogtown or Dogtown and Z-Boys, he's incredible in that. Mm-hmm. But
I think that's the shift too, where you start seeing that he's like, hey, like I'm not just going to do these pretty boy roles like 10 Things I Hate About You or Knight's Tale, even though he's very good in those too, but he's just like, I can do other shit. And so you got Lords of Dogtown, you got Brokeback Mountain, you got
yes, I forgot about that.
Some other shit too. He's like the nerdy brother in the Brothers Grimm. Like he's going all over the place before we get to him as the Joker. Like it wasn't just pretty boy stuff to the Joker. Like there was a fair amount of time where he was being a character actor, and I think people just didn't really recognize that until he got cast as the Joker, then suddenly, or really until Brokeback Mountain, and then he got cast as the Joker. But it's a true talent, really. I don't think anybody's disputing that.
I was one of the naysayers too because of The Knight's Tale and stuff, and then when I saw the first trailer for The Dark Knight, I was like, made a complete 180. I was just like, this is incredible. You could tell it was going to be something special.
Yeah, most people did.
Yeah.
I just had a feeling when it was announced, I'm like, that's interesting. Not my choice. But then I was just like, this guy's got a lot of range. So what his Joker's going to look like, I have no clue. I have no fucking idea. And so when the footage came out, I'm just like, well, I feel like I was right. Not in the sense that I said, like, I called it, he was going to be the greatest. But more in the sense of just like, I don't think any of us have any idea what's about to come. And we saw it and we're like, yeah, I was right in that aspect. Like, you can't look at his past work and be like, oh, like he's going to channel this character and that character. Like, nope. It's completely from the ground up for him.
I hadn't been so moved by a performance in so long. Like I was literally like just smiling the whole time at his evilness. It was just it was incredible. It was just exactly what I needed at that time as an audience member, maybe as well. It was just such an incredible movie, man. I mean, it's a little bloated here and there, but I mean, it's still awesome.
I think Ledger's underrated in the aspect, obviously not in general. Everybody loves him, but like I think what's the part of Joker that's underrated is the humor. Like he's hilarious. He's the funniest part of the whole movie, while also being the scariest part of the whole movie.
Yes,
That's what makes it so perfect. And I like they could have easily just gone a little like kind of what we talked about Joker in the Batman deleted scene with Barry Keoghan, where I'm just like, you got way too edgelord with that. But Ledger's like could have gone in that direction because that's when they started doing all the scarred shit, which I'm still not a huge fan of from a design standpoint. But from a performance standpoint and a writing standpoint, they're just like, nope, he's still the Joker. He still says and does shit that's hilarious but also scary at the same time. And that's what I appreciated, I think, the most when I saw his performance, was just like, okay, you kept the humor, you kept another aspect of it, so it's not just I'm a freak, for 2.5 hours. It's just some layers to it. It's not just one note of being scary the whole time. There's aspects where he's just everybody's cracking up and everyone's gasping by the same character every like other minute or so.
It was really pitch perfect. All of his lines and shit. I mean, it's just, oh god, dude. Yeah, it's one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure he would have been a great Batman as well, but we got something real special. With him.
Yeah, for sure. So after Ledger, we have a whole bunch of other actors who were potentially up for being Nolan's Batman. One of those was also Ian Bailey, who had his screen test released as both Batman and Bruce Wayne. So his stuff is out there. And then some of these other actors, we don't have footage yet that's been out there of them. But the biggest name in terms of who's still big today is Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal was supposedly Goyer's top choice for it. I have not found confirmation from Goyer himself on it, but I remember reading at the time that Goyer really liked him for the part. I had a chance to meet Goyer many years ago at an event, and I tried to ask him about what Gyllenhaal's audition was like, and I got absolutely nothing from him. I got the whole, like, well, he and Chris are fine actors. I'm just like, that's not what I fucking asked, but okay. So
it's maybe still under NDA, man. He's not trying to be a jerk.
Maybe.
He's mainly a jerk to She-Hulk, so not to you.
Well, thankfully I wasn't green that day or something, but I'd love to see the screen test. I'd love to see the audition because he did go in for this, so there is footage of him in the suit. Before
Pattinson was selected, his name was brought up again, and Ben and I were really hoping it was going to be him this time, and didn't like Scott Snyder. Not that Snyder, but Scott Snyder, right? He also, or whoever, Capullo, whoever was writing
because
it looks like him from Jarhead or some shit.
Yeah, because Bruce Wayne shaves his head like that in 0 Year, and then I think Capullo was just like, hey, like I'm down for it, and showed the comparison of Gyllenhaal and Jarhead with Bruce in 0 Year. So
I remember loving Jarhead. Yeah. I thought that movie was great. I
liked it too.
Has Gyllenhaal been a superhero yet?
He's Mysterio.
Oh my God, that's right. I have totally I'm dropping the ball left and right today. Yes, that is right. He was great in that. Would like to see him in the DCU as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we were hoping for it when Reeves was announced, and we kind of knew that Affleck wasn't going to be in it. But then when they said they were going young, I'm just like, I mean, he is younger, but he's not like Batman starting out young anymore. So I kind of knew that he wasn't going to be the Matt Reeves Batman, but who knows?
He has a certain intensity to him, and he can brood as well, and he's got the look. I mean, I could definitely see why why he was.
If anything, he's got more of a look now than he did back then.
That's true.
He's still very like baby faced in around 2004, 2005 when he was up for it, to the point where I remember people being just like, really him? And then now I feel like because he's got like stuff like Nightcrawler and like other like really intense roles under his belt, like Prisoners, that I think people would be like, oh yeah, that's cool if he were ever to be
Donnie
back again.
Darko.
Yeah, if we were to go back to even further, yeah. So he's one of those where I'm just like, I'd really be curious to see how he played it. In the audition.
Yeah, and his sister was in Dark Knight.
Well, yeah. Though obviously she wouldn't have been cast if he played the role of Batman. But
that's true. That's true.
I remember some fans being like, "Well, he shouldn't have been cast because Maggie was Rachel." I'm just like, you realize they wouldn't have done that though if if he was cast. Like, come on, guys. So
sadly, she would have
yeah,
been kicked to the curb.
Yeah, it had to have been someone else at that point.
Yeah.
So other candidates did include the other guy that girls really loved at the time, Josh Hartnett. Saying that he regretted not doing Batman mainly because he wanted to form a friendship and creative partnership with Chris Nolan. And I think he felt that too when he wasn't up for The Prestige, but Scarlett Johansson ended up in The Prestige, and I think Hartnett was with Scarlett at the time. So whatever the case was, he didn't decide to do it. So
wait. Hartnett was dating Scarlett Johansson?
I think he was during the time of The Prestige. I think that's what he was talking about during this interview.
Okay.
Relook at my notes.
That guy was like insanely popular at this time, and then I heard he just kind of quit Hollywood for a while. I think he's kind of back doing something now.
He was
but
in,
he moved back to
Penny
Michigan,
Dreadful.
or he moved back to Michigan or some shit, Minnesota or something, where he's from, and just kind of hung out for like 10 years or something. I guess the pressure got the Hollywood pressure got a little much or something. I don't know what happened with him, but
yeah. I can see him kind of finding, like, I could see him get into a Colin Farrell type of thing where he's just like, he had a time being the heartthrob and now he's back as like a serious fucking actor. You know, like that type of thing. I could see that happen.
It would be cool. It would be cool to bring him back and like he's, I don't know, maybe somebody in the DCU now, or I don't know.
Oh, he's in Oppenheimer.
Is he?
So he did. Okay. All right, this is cool. I just found out. So like
That's
he regretted
awesome,
like I didn't get to work with Nolan. Now he gets to work with Nolan in Oppenheimer. I just looked at this.
So he's gonna punch Barbie in the face as well. That fucking bitch.
So all right, well I'm happy for him.
Drop an A-bomb on that bitch.
That's something he wanted. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh
right.
dude.
Let's see. Other Orlando Bloom also got to meet with Christopher Nolan, but did not audition, and he was in the middle of other shit, which is probably Lord of the Rings and Pirates. I think you and I agree this is not a good choice for the role. So he's probably just fine otherwise.
Why? What are your reservations about him? Why do you think he wouldn't be good?
I've never seen anything with him in it where I really thought he was like intense. You know? Like I've never thought like, oh, like this guy could totally be Batman. I'm just like, oh, he's fine, you know, for the roles that they cast him in. But like, I don't really see him interrogating Detective Flass the way that Christian Bale did.
He's got a kind of softness to him. I can kind of see that. Yeah. I don't know.
So, like I know that people threw the whole pretty boy shit at Pattinson in the Batman, but like the guy already proved he had a hell of a lot of range, and the guy could be intense when need be, despite his pretty boy looks. Bloom though doesn't really have that range to me. Like he's just like he's fine for the roles he's in, but I don't really see him like having that intensity or the range that like Pattinson displayed or Bale
displayed. Live off of that Legolas money, man. He's good. And Pirates, my God, it's like enough for 12 lifetimes.
He's fine for those roles. He's perfectly fine for those roles. But this one, I know some people were fan casting him around the time because everybody who was a fucking like 20 to 30-year-old guy was being fan cast as Batman on the message boards and shit. And I'm just like, I like him in Lord of the Rings. I just don't see it, guys. I just don't see it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see somebody do something totally different than what they normally do, because that's the name of the game with acting. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I can see why you have your reservations as well.
Well, how do you feel about it? Do you feel the same way as me on this, or do you feel like he could have done it?
I mean, like I said, like if I'd like to see, I would be interested in seeing the audition. Just to see, like, let's see this guy's range. Let's see if he can do intensity. Let's see if he can tone down that softness. Well, you know.
I mean, yeah, I'd love it if suddenly he's announced in the DCU as like a major villain and he just fucking knocks it out of the park. Like, I'd fucking love that. But as of now, I'm
Yeah.
like, like, I think
Yeah.
he's fine with the roles that he's been getting. So,
Oh yeah,
it
that's
worked
fine.
out.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. Other actors. Joshua Jackson said that he went and did the screen test. He was one of the last 4 or 5 guys for the role, and also said, "quote I don't like to lose any job, but they cast the right guy."
Who's this guy again? No offense.
From Dawson's Creek and the Mighty Ducks when he was really young. He was in the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, I saw Mighty Ducks. I remember Dawson's Creek being a thing, but
yeah,
I was
they cast the
I was
other
not
Dawson's
into,
Creek character.
not into that kind of show, man.
Yeah, he's got kind of a like I could see him play it on like this is not a knock against him, but since he was on Fringe for a while on TV, like if they had done some sort of CW Batman thing, like I could see him play it in that. He's just not really in a lot of movies. So,
yeah, this is kind
that's
of more of
probably
a.
why.
I mean, outside of Dawson's Creek, he's not too well known. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he felt like they cast the right guy on that one. And I think we can all agree, given the choices we look through. I'm just like, Gyllenhaal would have been interesting, but I also think that, there's still time for him to even play the role at this point. Like Bale's just hands down the best choice out of these actors. And I'm not even done yet with how many were up for Begins.
There was a lot.
Yeah. We got actually just 2 more. So another British actor was Hugh Dancy was up for it. My God, Dan had to pick this picture of him. But he seemed to confirm it in a radio interview. I remember this is the first time I heard of this actor was when there's just like, Hugh Dancy could be Batman. And people were like, the only thing this guy was in were in like British period dramas. So it was just a whole bunch of pictures of him with this type of hair in like period costume. And you're just like, well, I think he's got the jaw for it, but like, can he act and can he do an American accent? So like, Dancy is best known for playing an American detective as Will Graham in the series Hannibal, which is interesting because that dynamic between Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter in the novel Red Dragon is what inspired the Matt Reeves dynamic of Batman and Joker in that deleted scene of the Batman. So there is kind of a tie there. But I like Dancy. I think he's a great actor as Will Graham. I just can't see him as Batman. I think he ended up in the right role as Will Graham on that. And maybe they cast him because his name got sort of more blown up when he was up for Batman at the time. But I definitely remember like he got a little bit more famous just for being, the possibility of him being up for this around 2003, 2004 or so. So he was a possibility. But this last one is interesting because I don't know for sure how much is there, and I need to find the actual source outside of just people quoting this. But I remember at the time they reported, hey, here's the screen test. We got Bale, Joshua Jackson, Hugh Dancy, Jake Gyllenhaal, and then the last one was Henry Cavill. Now,
For Batman
and Batman Begins. Now, he would have been super young at this time. Remember, or maybe a couple years. 2002 was Count of Monte Cristo, where he's Jim Caviezel's son. So
he was a little kid.
Yeah, like this is him around this time, right? And so he would have been more babyface than what we're used to over here. But I couldn't find a specific video interview, but I could have sworn I've seen it, and I found the quote where he said, I may have been spoken about in a room at some stage, but never auditioned or screen tested. So he's basically saying, like, well, maybe, but I didn't know about it.
Okay.
So there's no... It sucks, too, because part of me has kind of wanted to see what the Cavill Batman audition would have been in Batman Begins, because it's just like, he clearly has some footage doing some Superman auditions before he was in Man of Steel, but we've already seen him play Superman, so we kind of know what that turned into. But with Batman, I'd be very curious, because he's kind of the one actor that, like, if James Gunn just throws a fucking curveball, and he's just like, Henry Cavill is back, but as Batman for the DCU, I can see everybody just be like, what the actually, that kind of works as like the big response.
I don't know if they're going to do that though, but
they're not going to. But
it'd be a hell of a move.
It would be a hell of a move. But yeah, I'm saying that it would be one of the first times I think a lot of people would be like, actually, even though he was Superman, I could see that. Whereas most of the time when Batman gets cast, everyone was just like, not this guy. So
right,
we'll see. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to happen. But he said that he might have been in the running, but again, he could have just been on a board, his name written on there because he's a young, 20-something actor at this time. So possibility.
I think you're not really officially in the running until you audition.
Yeah, no, I agree. But people still reported that he was. And people still do to this day. Like, he almost got Batman.
People want a headline, people want clickbait.
Yep, exactly. So Bale becomes Batman for Nolan. I think we can agree he's the best choice out of everybody. Nolan picked the right guy for this. Nolan's casting just in general was, pretty much perfect for those movies. So
yeah, pretty good.
It's hard to argue. But at the same time, though, we could have gotten a different Batman at the same time with George Miller. With Justice League Mortal, famously, it was going to be Armie Hammer, who actually was cast in the role. This is a case where he wasn't that he was up for it. It was that he actually played the part. Was going to play the part.
King James Bible in his hand? What is this?
This says the Crusades.
The Crusades, okay.
It says the Crusades. Well, he did play Billy Graham at one point. He played a young Billy Graham.
Okay, it looks
So
like
it does
an
make sense he would have
old-ass
done
tome he's holding.
Yeah. But yeah, this is one of those things like Batman versus Superman, the Wolfgang Peterson one, where he was younger than Bale, but also was going to play a Justice League Batman who had already gone through, a good chunk of his career and had met Talia and defeated Ra's al Ghul already. Like, there's kind of a weird disconnect. Whereas Hollywood's casting these 20-something actors to play experienced Batmans. So
right.
It's kind of jarring, but yeah, he actually got it for Justice League Mortal before they pulled the plug on it. I couldn't really find who else was up for it because he wasn't the only one. He probably wasn't the only one up for this part, but he's the one who actually got it for that. So let us know if anybody can find anything on that. I'm sure if they do end up doing that Justice League Mortal documentary, that there'll be some other names that pop up for that. But the Batman we did get to interact with the Justice League and Superman was the one in the Snyder films, and there were a whole bunch of other names up for that before Ben Affleck accepted on that. The most famous, of course, is Thanos himself, Josh Brolin, who I think is probably one of my favorite amongst the almost Batmen, because I think he would have been a great Dark Knight Returns style Batman. He's shorter than Affleck, he's under 6 foot, he's 5'10", but he's still taller than Keaton. He said that he indirectly talked with Zach about it, but never got to the point because, quote, I wasn't the guy for him. I'm really glad it didn't happen. I haven't thought twice about it. Probably because the guy's busy enough as it was. Thanos and Cable around the same time.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh well. But I also think he, he would have screamed veteran Batman, because he's basically got the veteran face. He's clearly had a few years behind him, but I think he's just it. Affleck's kind of like at that perfect age in BVS of being like an experienced Batman with some of the Frank Miller stuff, but not like so experienced that he's clearly like the dad to everybody in the Justice League.
Right.
Whereas Brolin would have felt like everybody's dad. In the thing, he's just that much older than everyone else who's there. It just would have felt weird. It felt more of the Dark Knight Returns Batman with the modern regular continuity Justice League.
Right.
So I think they picked the right choice with Affleck. Another candidate from another actor from the Peter Jackson Tolkien movies is Richard Armitage, who was in the Hobbit movies. He was also in the MCU as the guy who killed Stanley Tucci in Captain America: The First Avenger. And he also fought Hugh Dancy when he was the Red Dragon in the Hannibal series. But yeah, he's a British actor. He could have done it. He also does the voice of Wolverine in a few podcasts, I think. I haven't heard of that.
Oh, that's right. I always remember, I was like, I can't believe Armitage is his real last name. I think it was a 90s anime. That's how I always think of that anime Armitage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whenever I hear that, it's just like, wow, that's actually a real name. Mm-hmm. I feel like no Armitages moved to America. They're all in England.
Yeah, no, he's very British.
Yeah.
But, has a decent American accent though, and he said that he'd just come out of The Hobbit and he auditioned for Batman. He was about 5 or 6 actors that were in line for it, but it didn't end up being him. I think
who was he in The Hobbit?
He was the main.
He was a lead guy.
He's the main lead guy. Yeah, not Bilbo. But the Dwarf King, I think.
We could look it up right now.
Let me
I
look up
guess.
the guy's name.
We're
Clearly,
looking it up live.
I'm not a huge Tolkien guy, or else I would remember the guy's name on this. But
He was.
he was some dude.
Jeez, where is it? It's
He was
killing
some
me.
dude in this.
King Thorin?
Thorin Oakenshield, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was cool. Those
Well,
movies weren't that
he's
great though.
Buried in the beard and the the CG making him look shorter,
Yeah.
so like he's not that recognizable.
I
in the
did
movie.
the best part of The Hobbit is that really like baritone deep ass singing in the beginning.
Mhm.
That I thought that shit was awesome. And then like the fights are like kind of better in The Hobbit, but ultimately that didn't need to be 3 fucking movies. That shit's
he
fucking
probably
ridiculous.
evolved. Yeah, he probably evolved as an action director, but not so much with the writing when it came to the scripts.
Those fights feel like Marvel fights. Like
Mm.
they're. I wonder if Marvel took something from that, or it was a little bit after Marvel. Anyway, like they're kind of similar vibe to them. But yeah, I didn't know this guy was almost Batman as well, but I could see it.
He's a possibility.
Yeah.
Other possibility going through it is another actor known on TV on the show Suits, Gabriel Macht, who is also the Spirit in the movie directed by Frank Miller. On Twitter, he said when Affleck was announced, he said he had to withdraw from Batman running due to scheduling with his show Suits, and he said, "quote Respect to Ben Affleck, he's going to kill it. Well-deserved role. Class act, I'd say." From Gabriel.
That's cool. You ever seen Suits?
He's good. He's good in this. I like him in Suits. He does. There is a comparison between his character and the different Batmen in the pilot. I remember.
So you watched the show? You've watched?
I
a
watched
lot
the
of
show
it.
because I used to. I knew people who were involved with the show.
Oh,
I
okay, that's
watched it,
cool.
Yeah. So
That's cool. I've actually never seen this
Yeah.
show.
It's more obviously most famous now for being where Meghan Markle got an acting role, and she was a series regular for a time outside of her being on Deal or No Deal, I think. But
Okay.
he would have pulled it off. I think he's a good actor. He's a good like smooth but really smart, good looking businessman type in that. But I think some of these with Armitage and Gabriel Macht, I think part of it is just like they're just not headliners. You know, like Ben Affleck, everyone knows who Affleck is. So you've already got Cavill still being an up and comer around this time in 2016. You know, he hasn't done Witcher yet. He only had one movie so far as Man of Steel. So I think they wanted somebody who was more well known at that time. I mean, this guy couldn't do it because of scheduling, according to his tweet. But Armitage auditioned, and I'm like, I can see that if it's between Armitage and somebody who's more well known, like Affleck, it's gonna go to Affleck. So it kind of makes sense.
And everybody hated him
At first, yes. And now
at first.
he's
Everybody
beloved.
loves him.
Yes.
It's all they want. All they want is him.
Next is martial artist and actor Scott Adkins, last seen pulling up Colin Farrell and wearing a fat suit for John Wick 4. But he auditioned.
Oh yeah.
His audition is online, where Adkins is doing, I guess the audition for the BVS Batman was a scene from The Dark Knight Rises where Alfred tells Bruce that he burned Rachel's letter.
Wait, is he the German guy?
Yeah, he's you wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him.
Oh my god,
Yeah, like
that was
yeah.
that was one of my maybe my favorite part of the movie.
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
no, he's fantastic in that role because he's mainly been like the lead in like direct to video martial art movies, you know, that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just thought like he's not gonna get it just because that's the type of stuff. And then when I saw him in John Wick 4, I'm just like, oh, this guy can act. Like
Yeah.
So
It was a
but yeah,
breakout
he's
role
hilarious.
for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Adkins is British, but he puts on an American accent as Bruce in this audition and put on an English accent off screen doing the Alfred voice. So he's actually acting against himself in this audition that he put online. But again, similar to what I said about Joshua Jackson, this guy could have been a good like Batman on TV. You know, probably would have been better as the Titans Batman on that.
Oh,
But
yeah, true.
But instead, he got to be a henchman in Doctor Strange. You'll take what you can get. But, I mean, look, the guy's fantastic in John Wick 4. Check out that sequence at least, because what that guy can do with, like, I don't know how many pounds of a fat suit on him was kind of hilarious, but also impressive at the same time.
It was like the German Kingpin fighting.
Yeah,
in a
it's
way.
for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Of course, one of the more shocking candidates was Jason Momoa.
this is not right.
So I'm going to have you read. I'm going to have you read what he said about his approach to the role of Batman, because I think this is kind of funny. But this is how he did it. And it's the same scene that I talked about with Scott Adkins, where it's the scene where Alfred says that he burned the letter.
I just pretended like Batman got killed in an alleyway, and I picked it up and I tried to play him like I was just down and out, poor, over it, just done wrong, and he wasn't afraid to punch even good people in the face. Aloha. And just go like unforgivable about certain things. Aloha. But also like, whoa, flawed. Aloha. And the kind of person who would jump off a cliff and figure it out on the way down what we're going to do. Aloha.
So that was his approach, sort of a nihilistic Batman, which does fit where Batman's at in that movie. So he had the right idea, at least going in. But clearly Zach had other plans, and I think we know that he got the better,
He can
more appropriate
brood.
choice.
He can definitely brood.
Yes.
I can see why they picked him. They wanted to at least see an audition, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like we still haven't. He was incredible in Game of Thrones. He's speaking fucking Dothraki language, of made up language.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the epitome of fucking stage presence.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and Aquaman's good, but dude, he's in Fast and Furious, bro. What's he doing these days, man? What are we doing, man? Don't let Hollywood take your head and fucking suck your soul out, man.
He's got
Come
a
on.
mortgage to pay, man.
Yeah, fucking. All right, whatever.
All right, so this last one, when asked later, Zack Snyder said his number 2 choice behind Ben Affleck was none of these guys, but actually a Belgian actor named Matthias. I'm going to butcher this. Matthias Schoenaerts. He was in The Old Guard and Red Sparrow. This is interesting.
It could be Matthias.
Matthias,
also.
yeah. Matthias Schoenaerts or I don't know. But anyway,
I don't know.
it seems like this is the only time an actor who's neither American nor British was considered for this. So
Yeah, he could do it. Whatever. It's fine.
we'll see. But yeah, that could have been interesting. Again, I'm not super familiar with this actor and if he has a just a American accent in his roles playing Americans. But I just thought that was an interesting thing to add to that.
They all got American accents. You kidding
Yeah.
me?
Well, I feel like it's just a bit harder when you're Belgian as opposed to English.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Depends on how much he's practiced.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I haven't seen him in The Old Guard, so maybe he's already an American in that. Who knows? He was definitely like Russian in the Red Sparrow movie. I remember seeing that a while back, but
This guy's Danish?
he's Belgian.
Oh, Belgian. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's like what? French, right? It's French
Yeah.
and mainly French. So
French-esque, yeah.
yeah, French-esque. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Jean-Claude Van Damme because he's Belgian. I don't know. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Depends on the person. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'd have to see.
Yeah. So moving on to The Batman, Hollywood Reporter did have a report saying that Armie Hammer was considered to come back for it, along with future Craven, Aaron Taylor Johnson. But I'm laughing because of Craven, not because of Aaron Taylor Johnson. But I'm not sure. Hollywood Reporter did say it, but I didn't find any confirmation elsewhere. But the only one who did seem to confirm he was up for it in interviews was Nicholas Hoult, who played Beast in the X-Men movies, recently was Renfield, and was in the Menu. He was the second choice behind Robert Pattinson, and if you think about it, it does kind of make sense. They have, they kind of have a similar look. They're both pale British dudes, but Hoult just doesn't quite have the same chiseled Bruce Wayne-esque features that Pattinson does between the two of them, and Hoult even commented recently, yeah, they cast the right guy for that movie. So no hard feelings on
This
that
guy's
point.
this guy's also like tall as fuck. Isn't Nick Holt like 6'5" or some shit?
Yeah, I think he's pretty tall.
He's
I think he's a great actor. I just don't think he's Batman.
He would have been tall. It might have been taller than fucking Batfleck, dude. I could
Maybe.
look it up now, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. But he was cool as Beast, right? He was Beast.
Yeah, and I could see a potential future of him in like a villain role in the future. because like Reeves considered him for the part, so it could be another Cillian Murphy thing where you're just like, all right, well, you didn't get to play Batman, but you do get to play, this other character in this world.
He's a big name. I mean, he's big-ish. He's kind of like B tier at the moment. I'm sure we could make him A tier at the DCU or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm just really excited about who's going to be all cast up in the DCU going forward.
Yeah, me too. Because who knows? Maybe it's somebody who was considered beforehand. Kind of like how Cavill got to be Superman after being considered beforehand, like that type of stuff.
Yeah, he auditioned for JJ's Flyby or something.
Yeah.
Cavill
So
did.
There's that screen test. So it's just like, it seems like that's an easy thing because you already have a fucking screen test. You might still have them audition again because it's a new direction, but like you at least already know, hey, here were the actors last time.
Right.
So I guess that's the advantage when you reboot so quickly, is
Right.
that like you could just have another shot at it anyway, a little later on, as opposed
Lucky
to like
me.
the 90s. So
Yeah.
lastly, I got to mention this since this is the topic of the show, Almost Batman, but CW has the Gotham Knights show where Batman's dead, but despite that, apparently they did consider Jensen Ackles to play the dead Bruce Wayne, in that Ackles is the voice of Batman in the current crop of animated movies, starting with the Long Halloween, and he's going to be Batman again in the Justice League War World animated movie. He seems to be a popular choice for Batman in the upcoming DCU. I wouldn't knock the choice. He's not a choice that particularly excites me, but like I wouldn't cry either if they said that it was going to be him.
Why do you say that? Because he's a little bit too vanilla, like too run of the mill.
Like I kind of know what to expect out of it.
I
I
see.
think that's what was cool about when. I guess it depends, right? Because I go back and forth. So in my life, I don't really remember if I had much of a reaction or knew enough about Batman to really react with Clooney's casting. I know of Kilmer, I just thought that was cool because I had just seen him as Doc Holliday in Tombstone. So I thought that's amazing, even though like his Doc Holliday performance is like not Batman like at all. But I just thought he was cool. But moving further, like when I'm older and stuff, like Bale was clearly the guy for Nolan when they released like who was auditioning. So like that was one where I'm just like, well, he's the only possible guy who could get this. When it came to Affleck, it was somebody I had never considered as Bruce Wayne, but unlike everyone else who flipped his shit, I was just like, oh, why have I not thought of that? Like he, like, of course, like a guy who's over 6 foot with a chiseled jaw and has been in a shit ton of movies is going to be Batman. Like, of course, that could work and stuff. So like
similar
I could see
cowl as
As
Daredevil
Daredevil.
too.
Yeah, and then with Pattinson, it was a thing. It was kind of the opposite of that. It wasn't a like, oh, like why haven't I thought about that? It was more of just like this must have been how it was like in 1989. Like this must have been where it's like where I'm just like, here's somebody where I'm like, I don't know what to expect out of this, but it could be cool. It could be
Right.
interesting.
Right.
And Ackles kind of falls in between for me. Again, I'm not knocking him. I think he's a decent actor. His Batman voice is fine in the animated movies. It just doesn't really excite me in the same way. Affleck was like somebody I hadn't thought of who's now getting to play the part, and Pattinson was somebody who was just like, I don't know what to expect. And here I kind of feel like I know what to expect, and that's about it.
Okay.
That's kind of my feeling on him. Have you?
So
I don't know.
when
if he's
I
been
was
much
I was
outside of-
pretty cognizant. I was pretty cognizant whenever
Mhm.
Clooney was cast.
Mhm.
I was a kid, but I still had. I remember, and I remember it was kind of like. It wasn't as like controversial as Affleck's, I think, but I remember many people being kind of like not into it even then,
Mhm.
and I don't know, but I remember my mom was into it because she liked Clooney.
of course. So yeah, I don't really remember having much of a reaction to Clooney, in general, but at that time. But yeah, I mean, again, if Ackles is announced as the DCU Batman, I'm not going to cry about it. I just think that there could be more exciting choices. I don't have a particular choice in mind. I just think in general,
Clooney is
something more
Clooney's the tannest Batman. Seriously though, he's the most olive complected Batman.
yeah, and then Pattinson
So-
would be the palest by far.
Pattinson is a fucking ghost.
Yeah,
Everybody else is in between.
yeah. So yeah, and then that's pretty much what we got so far in terms of the Almost Batman. Again, like let us know if there's anybody we missed who has said on the record that they were up for it. Otherwise, a lot of the stuff is internet rumors. But yeah, outside of these, any other potential missed opportunities? Like we said before the break, again, I'm a fan of the Brolin idea, but I don't know if BVS was the way to go for that one, but maybe Brolin at some point in some sort of Dark Knight Returns type of movie.
Gyllenhaal or something.
Gyllenhaal. I think Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal's probably my number one pick. Wait. Who was your favorite? Who's your favorite out of these again?
I think it said Brolin or Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Brolin or Gyllenhaal. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, and with that is superhero stuff you should know. All right, big thanks to Dan for gathering the visuals for the YouTube experience, including the non-flattering pictures of Ray Fiennes and other actors who were up for this.
That was a good one, Dan.
That was a good one, Dan. All right, let's go into this. So this is an email from Rich that I really wanted to share. So he said, quote, listen to the great, as always, podcast, thank you, about the unmade Flash films and how could the new Flash film have the gut-wrenching impact of the ending of the Flashpoint comic with Bruce receiving a letter from his dad from the alternative timeline. And that got me thinking, how about in the new film, Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, is dead at the start, and that's why Bruce gave up being Batman. During the film, obviously Bruce comes back to help himself move past the death of Selina. What about near the end of the film, Barry travels back to the Batman Returns timeline, in particular the masked ball, where he wears the Jay Garrick helmet himself, already in the film. So for those who don't know, you can actually see somebody wearing the Jay Garrick type helmet in the background in Batman Returns. That could be passed off as supposed to be Hermes, but if you were to play around with this, you could do something like this. Rich says, quote, whilst there, he could speak with Selina about what would cause her death in the future and thus preventing it and stopping Bruce going through further anguish. Bruce travels to the new Bruce and Selina timeline to see them together, then races back off to his universe in time. Boom, fade to black. Alternatively, similar to the above, and I like this one, Barry goes to see Selina before she dies, speaks with her about leaving Bruce, and has her write a note for him in the future. Barry goes back to see old Bruce and gives him the note, which then has Bruce putting closure to Selina's death. So the note is now from Michelle Pfeiffer's Selina Kyle. Barry then races off back to his universe in time. Boom, fade to black. For me, there has to be a gut-wrenching ending to the film to give fan service to Flashpoint. Great idea, Rich. I mean, I kind of wish I didn't read this because now, like, the real movie has to either match up to this, or if it does the same thing, then I feel like I was spoiled. But I like the idea because, like, the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman is the most emotional aspect of Keaton's backstory. So,
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really get a lot of stuff about him talking about his dad, and there's no Thomas Wayne Batman in this one. So them doing the letter with Keaton's Batman just doesn't really fly the same way. But if it's Selina and she's dead and she has a note to Batman, this Batman, and stuff, and we as an audience have that connection based off of the past 30 years of watching Batman Returns, that could be really powerful. But like I said, if they don't do this, then there's something that I felt conflicted after reading this because I'm just like, man, if they don't do this, then I'm going to feel bad. And if they do this, then I just got spoiled. But great idea, Rich.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, next is RyGuy1988 with a nice comment for us, saying, as much as you guys love Batman 89 and as a whole, as we all do, I'm always shocked at how you and Geekvolution have never gotten together on any episodes, man. Both of you guys talk this movie and the character ad nauseum and love Batman. And all you guys just seem like genuine dudes. Maybe one day you dudes can get on an episode together. That'd be the stuff of, all caps, legends.
He's a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. No, I say dude a lot too. It's just I like the way you wrote it. You wrote very naturally.
Yes.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Let's get a team up together.
Yeah.
Coming soon. We'll see.
Crossover.
Yeah. All right, last one from Jeffrey at SDCT Productions, commenting on our mini episode and Patreon preview where I, as a cancer survivor, talked about the Superman and Lois episode, but also talked about the fact that we're going to be in his movie. So he said, quote, that is fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you for the shout-out. I was watching the Joe Blow on Joss Whedon, and it makes you wonder if there is a, quote, point of no return. That is what his film, Derek Magnum, is about to me. Can a person dig out of the hole that they have made for themselves? I'm really passionate about telling the story, and I'm overly thankful for the help. So, as you guys probably heard in the break, Jeffrey is fundraising for his film Derek Magnum, and we are in it playing ourselves. So please help him out at the Indiegogo. The link is in the description below. So thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you.
And on to that, the fan shoutouts.
Okay, everybody. Just want to thank everybody here, and we want to thank Bruce K, Tita. I love saying Tita. Tita and Sketchcraft, Kyle B, and Darren P, and other supporters as well. Look at this. We're running out of room, man.
I know.
So, wow. This is, it's starting to happen.
I had to fuck around with the sizes in order to fit everybody.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So, these are our friends here, and we've, we'd like you to do us a little favor.
We want you to tell all your friends about us.